I think I could spend the whole semester in Genesis chapter 1. I absolutely love the chapter. I love the text. It's beautiful. It's organized. It's structured. That part of OCD part in me really enjoys that part of it. The first 6 days have the exact same symmetrical structure. At first, God says, let there be, whatever it is God wants. Second, and it was, whatever God said that it was. Third, God saw that whatever it was good. And finally, each day ends with, each of those first 6 days ends with, and it was evening, and it was morning, day, whatever it was. Now, each of these 6 days themselves actually fits a sort of larger structure of the overall book. In fact, the whole, I say book, I meant chapter. The overall chapter, I actually believe that there are 2 words that really give indication of what the structure of the chapter is, and those are found right at the very beginning. When God created the heavens and the earth was formless and void, or shapeless and empty. In Hebrew, it's tohu and bohu. It had those two words, and I think those 2 words give us an idea of the organization of the text. In fact, the first 3 days, I would argue, fix the problem of the tohu, the formlessness, and the last 3 days fix the problem of the bohu, the emptiness. And notice the different correspondence. On day 1, light is created. On day 4, the sun, moon, and stars are created. On day 2, the heavens and the waters are defined. On day 5, the air animals and the water animals are created. On day 3, the land and vegetation are created. On day 6, all the land animals are created, including humans. So you can see the correspondence. We have light and representatives of light, heavens, birds, waters, sea creatures, land, cattle. So that parallel structure works for those first 6 days. The only day that doesn't meet this pattern is actually day 7. It doesn't have that fourfold parallel structure I talked about at the beginning. It also doesn't have doesn't fit into the rest of the pattern. It also doesn't it's never said to have begun or ended like the rest of them had. So that has led some scholars to speculate that perhaps Genesis 1 is trying to suggest we are currently in the 7th day, where God is resting from the kind of creating he was doing on days 1 through 6, and now simply interacting or living with that creation. But that speech command structure, that "and God said, let there be, and there was," focuses on divine intervention, not divine technique. What I mean by that is Genesis 1 is very careful to never tell us how God created. Genesis 1 is only interested in telling us that God created. Creation in Genesis 1 doesn't get God's hands dirty. He simply speaks it, and it happens. It's a very royal picture of God in Genesis 1. When the Queen of England wants a rose bush on the side of the palace, she doesn't go and get a hoe or go to Menards and pick up flowers. She says, we want a rose bush by the side of the palace. And you know what happens? She gets a rose bush beside the palace because she's the queen. All she has to do is say it, and it happens. That's the picture of God that you have in Genesis 1, a God who simply says it, and it happens. A very royal picture of God, a very transcendent picture of God. God is big and powerful and above all and over all and so big, master of all creation, all God has to do is say it, and the universe comes into being. Now this is important. This transcendent picture of God in Genesis 1 is important because pretty soon we're about to see that that's not quite the way Genesis 2 tells the same story.